Good morning, everyone. Thanks for attending our last meeting of the council season. This will be the last meeting until September. Hopefully you're on our mailing list. We'll obviously continue to send out updates throughout the summer, and anything important that comes up, we'll make sure to share with everyone so they all get the important information. If you need any help getting on our mailing list, please let me know, but you can easily sign up on our website, bkddcouncil.org. The beginning of this month, we're finally back in person, had our big family support fair. I think it was a great event, but I might be a little bit biased. We did have over 250 people attend. I think maybe a little bit more than that. I do know our 360 photo booth was a huge hit. We got a lot of really fun videos of people dancing and advertising their agencies and just having a good time while connecting and networking, getting a lot of information. I also know that after the event, our mailing list went from about 280 people to over 600. So that was good to see. So we're definitely hitting the families and getting the information out there to the people that need it the most, because we've always talked about getting more family involvement. In the fall, when we restart, we'll send out information about membership. We've gone quite a number of years now with not collecting any membership dues for the Brooklyn Council. Not that it's going to be any big amount, but we are going to get back to that come the fall. And this year, it was a big success in getting the Brooklyn Council back on the map and getting all of our committees back up and running. And it's a lot of people to thank for that. All of our committee co-chairs, all of our officers. Most of our officers for the council were new this year. Chris, I think, was the one holdover, and Debbie, I think, was the one holdover from a chairperson from a committee, and Rose. But we had a lot of new people on board, and things worked really well, maybe a little too well, where we did some things maybe too quickly. So we're going to take the summer to all meet and talk about ways we can make it better, because I think we got so many committees up and running, it became overwhelming, not necessarily for us, but for people to attend the committees, because they felt they had to attend too many committees to get information. So we may be working on combining some of the committees, such as children's services and transition services, because there is some overlap there, and maybe even employment services. Maybe they don't all have to be three separate committees. Maybe each committee could just have a section where they talk about each of those topics. And that's based on some of the feedback we've gotten from you guys, from some of the agencies, and from some of the co-chairs. But I definitely want to give a big thank you to all the chairs that have volunteered their time to help out with the council this year to help get things back up and running. Big thank you to Anne, who was manning the phones for our event. I know that wasn't an easy task, as people were calling up to midnight the night before the event to try to get a table and figure out how to get in. And thank you to everyone that comes on this meeting every month and gives feedback and helps share information. Every representative from OPW, IAC, DOH is now back and representing here on our meetings. Senator Prasad always has representatives, with David coming to all of our meetings. So thank you to everyone for that. And hopefully we'll continue to get bigger and better as we move forward. That being said, does anyone here from the council have any updates, final updates for their committees or things they're planning when we restart in the fall? Go ahead, Debbie.
Good morning. I'm doing this for Rosal. Rosal, and we did not have a meeting in June because that was the same day as the statewide Family Support Advisory Council meeting. She and I will be meeting with Brian and the rest to figure out how we're going to go forward. It was a lot more successful when we paired, where we went from 2 hours to 1 hour, and the minute our meeting was done at 11, the legislative committee started. So both committees were able to work together as partners, and we will still be talking and meeting with the rest of the exec board to figure out other ways we can go through. And the only one important thing we wanted to say, and I don't see if Lucina or Ms. Willis is on. Remember, this is an election year for the president as well as the United States Senator for Christian Gillibrand, your Congress people, State Assembly and State Senate, please go out and vote. If you don't, if you have you'll know if you have a primary because you would have received your information. But please remember, it's very important to vote in November. And that's what we've asked. And we do want also, we will be meeting to try to get more of the care managers. The one thing I want to say, Brian, that was very successful at the fair. I was on the fourth floor with the advisory council's table, and a lot of the care managers said that came over to us and thanked us for doing the family provider information, because they were able to receive a lot of information. So it's slowly getting through, and we've been able to work together. So when we do start, I don't think we'll do September. I think we'll start in October. But we will get back to everybody because we do have to meet with Brian and the rest of the exec board to decide the way we're going with this committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. And again, any information will come out through email updates to the mailing list or definitely on our website. So please make sure you check our website. And one of the other things with the council, I tried to change the way I do the updates so people are less overwhelmed with email updates from me, because I get a lot of requests from agencies and different sources to share information out, and I don't want people to have email overload. So if you guys have noticed over the last couple of weeks, I've kind of made it into a newsletter where there's multiple things in one email. I try to make it as easy to read as possible without being too overwhelming, but my goal is really just to not overwhelm your inboxes and send 15 emails a day. So hopefully that's working and you guys like that style better. And if not, we're open to any and all feedback. And speaking of feedback, in the chat, I put the link to our post-fair survey. So considering we've had over 250 people attend the event, I think we only received maybe 40 surveys on how the fair went. So I would love it if you guys did attend and could provide some feedback. It'll just help us improve for future events going forward. And I'll post it again later, as well as I'm sure other people will make posts that push it back down. So if no one else has anything on behalf of the council, I will pass it over to Nina and Henry from OPW.
Thank you, Brian. I just want to say that participation of 600 people is a huge success itself. You know, even if you don't get your surveys back, I think that's the strongest indicator you can hope for. You know,
Thank you.
So I would like to give a quick update on our More Than Work campaign. And today we have more than 225 non-profit provider agencies that are participating in our campaign that was launched in the beginning of March. And today the campaign's advertising has brought about 157,000 job seekers to the website, and more than 13,000 job seekers have visited the pages of our service providers from the website. Our second campaign, Anti-Stigma campaign for All Beyond My Developmental Disability, started last July, and the paid media portion has already resulted in more than 68 million impressions, 3.6 million video views, and over 106,000 clicks to the landing page. The paid media portion of the campaign will end at the end of July, and just reiterate that the campaign is we're using public forums, social and mass media, internet, radio, print advertising to educate the public about developmental disabilities and highlight the positive way people with mental disabilities contribute to their to our communities. As you're aware, we continue on regional strategic planning forums. The forums provide an opportunity to share updates on our strategic plan and goals and objectives, and we are looking to hear feedback on our efforts directly from people, families, and providers. as of today, we held 5 forums, and the last one is scheduled for July 9 in New York City. The event will take place at Albert Einstein College of Medicine at Lafrock Auditorium of the Price Center. So there is still time to join. There's still time to register for the event. For those who are not able to come for this forum in person, we also added 2 virtual events that will take place in July, on July 22nd. At 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. and on July 24 from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Registration to all forums is available on the OPWDD website. I probably mentioned last time that, again, we are looking forward to hear feedback from the family stakeholders, and as we will be providing an update on our progress with the strategic plan. Each forum will include a brief update on OPWDD strategic plan progress. We will have a short question and answer session, and we will have a robust public comment period. Anyone who is interested in participating in public comment will have 3 minutes to share their experience, ideas, and suggestions directly with OPWDD staff and leadership. Following these forums, we're going to combine the data, the feedback that we have gathered, and we will provide an analysis that will be included in forthcoming 2024 annual report. And we encourage anyone who is planning to attend the forum to review our strategic plan and the 2023 annual report. If you have a question that you would like to hear, hopefully you can hear the answer at the forum, you have the opportunity to send this question during your registration for the forum, and we will have this a quick question and answer session. There's still time to register. Please join us on July 9 from 11 to 1 p.m. in the Bronx. I know at the last meeting there was a question for the to provide an update on the ombudsman program, and then just as a quick background, last year our 2024 budget included $2 million to establish an ombudsman program, and the program, the plan is to provide independent, conflict-free ombudsman services to assist people with developmental disabilities to preserve their rights. The main goals of this program will include establish and oversee ombudsman network to identify, investigate, and refer and resolve complaints that are made on by or on behalf of people with developmental disabilities. The program will provide appropriate support in resolving complaints, including but not limited to education on service and rights assistance, completing paperwork to help accessing records and referral to legal services. We hope to develop and implement a comprehensive community education and outreach plan designed to increase the awareness and utilization of ombudsman services on behalf of people with developmental disabilities. And finally, we will be collecting and analyzing data that will identify common themes, issues, trends, and that will be used to support ongoing quality assurance and improvement activities. With that being said, we had the RFP that was announced in February, and a request for proposal from the Ombudsman program was released on February 6th. Proposals were submitted to OPWDD in March, and currently OPWDD is reviewing the proposals, and we anticipate an award will be granted shortly this summer, and this will be a 5-year contract. Okay, so hopefully when we meet next time in September, we will know who will lead this program for New York State for OPWDD. I also would like to mention, you probably heard that Tri-County Care CCO announced a pause on the new enrollments to the new for the services, and this is because they would like to assess the quality of their services, and they need to address the issues that were identified within the information gathering initiative that was completed by OPWDD, and we are working with the CCO. We will be working with the CCO on improving quality outcomes and best practices. So TCC notified communication went out on June 11. They notified provider agencies, the families. On our end, regional office is updating all the packets, and we will be reaching out. The front door will be reaching out to the families who were in the process of applying for TCC services, and we will be working on the referrals to the other CCO providers. So, and that is all for me for today.
Nina, I have one quick question. For Tri-County, does that impact anyone that was already enrolled with them?
No, it's only on new enrollments. They are pausing their new enrollments.
Okay, thank you. There's a couple of questions for you, Nina. Debbie?
Good morning, Nina. In reference with Tri-County, one issue that was constantly brought up to the advisory councils, and also when we would be doing our resource fairs, that they've given them issues about having families who speak their English is not their first language. Can you please also, when I'm being as positive as I can, but can you please also explain to him, a child, you're American citizen, even if you were born here or you went through the naturalization, you're an American citizen, and that you can still get services even if English is not your first language. Because that was one of the biggest complaints I used to receive from families. And there were times a few of their coordinators would challenge me. And yes, I did bring this up to OPWDD. I did talk to the Brooklyn DDRO about that. I spoke with Robin. I've spoken to Lucy about it. Even Angela Blades I spoke with through emails. But I'm asking because to bring this up is that was one of the biggest complaints I received. And to me, that's very upsetting because I want the families to get the services, even if English is not their first language.
Thank you.
Thank you.
They identified a number of issues, so hopefully it will help to stabilize TCC, that they can successfully continue to provide services.
All right.
Thank you.
Rochelle has a question.
Yeah, actually, I have just a couple of comments, Nina. One is in terms of Tri-County Care. I'm on the Board of Managers as a family representative for Care Design New York, and so I was aware of this. I just want people to be aware that this, the people who are applying for CCO services will now go to the other CCOs that in the service area, and I believe it's that Tri-County used to receive about 100 new members every month. So this is going to place a big burden on the other CCOs who also have their challenges in having an adequate number of care managers to serve their existing numbers. So I'm just making people aware in case there are glitches encountered or issues, that this is putting a strain on the whole CCO system in our service area, and that we need to have a little bit of patience, I guess, while everybody adjusts. The second comment is on the ombuds. I just wanted to let people know, if you weren't aware, that a bill passed the legislature in the final days and was sent to the governor that would modify the role of the ombudsperson to include assisting people when they are appealing an issue. So if they had a service denial and or need to go to a fair hearing, that an additional role for the ombudsperson would be to actually, if necessary, accompany the individual and assist them in filing that appeal. Now, we don't know if the governor is going to sign the bill, but I think it's important to know that this bill was passed because of advocacy by people in the IDD system who felt that would be something important for the ombudsperson to take on. So those are my two comments. No questions today, Nina.
Thank you. Thank you for clarification, Chuck.
All right, I don't see any other questions for you, Nina.
Henry, you want to go next?
Okay. Thank you. So I just want to start by saying this is not an 100% overview of the SART process. I'm not going to present any technical issues regarding to applications or accessing our systems. It's just a general overview of the SART process. So I'll begin with saying that. So most of you are probably familiar with the SART, SARF, Service Amendment Request Form. It was a paper version of us of this tool, where care managers will fill out those forms and email it to us. The SART, S-A-R-T, Service Amendment Request Tool, is the electronic version of that form. And instead of a paper form emailed to us, this form is actually completed in choices and submitted to the regional field office for processing. What is the advantage? What was the advantage, great advantage of this SART? Is just the fact that it affords the DDRO to collect data on what was submitted, what the individuals were receiving, and also to track the process itself. When was the SART submitted? How long did it take us to complete the process and submit it? And also, but most especially, to track the services that individuals were receiving. In the past, with paper version, it was sometimes almost impossible because you have to look to so many places to find it. The SART eliminated that, where all the services are tracked and collected with one application. The SART also afforded the regional field office a better communication with the CCOs. Communication is real and real time, and you can the CCOs can track what we ask for and when we can receive information back once it is completed. So it kind of afforded a better tracking communication both ways. When was the SART introduced, or when was it implemented? Originally, it was implemented on January 24th. It was where the cutoff for the SART, paper SART, was January 24th, 2024. And then the SART, the following day, January 25, 2024, was the implementation of the SART. At that point, the DDRO was, you can no longer submit SARTs to the choices, to the mailbox like you did in the past. It will be an electronic version of the form. The DDRO, the OPWDD did allow for the SART, previously submitted SARTs to be processed for a while, all till March 1st, 2024. On March 2024, we sunsetted the SART completely and required all any new or if previously submitted SARTs to be resubmitted as a SART. The mailbox was closed, and so beginning March 1st, the OPWDD no longer accepted paper SARTs, and we asked that each care manager resubmit any outstanding SARTs as a SART. It is interesting to point out that the interface in choices for the SARTs, for the regional field office services, and for the care managers is somewhat different. And so for that reason, each CCO we are required to identify a SART lead an expert that have been trained by the OPWDD to provide the implementation on the CCO side. So we were not responsible for implementing that on the CCO side. They each had a SART lead who implemented that process for them, also provided ongoing support post-implementation to these care managers. The regional field office were also trained, who were trained on that and on how to receive and process SARTs once implemented. When do you submit a SART? Just like the SART service amendment, a person who is OPWDD eligible, is waiver enrolled, and is seeking to amend your service can submit a SART. So a SART can be submitted for a change in service amount, or the provider itself. You want to change your provider, or you want to make changes to your currently authorized waiver services, or for authorization of a new waiver service, you can submit a SART. Upon the implementation of the SART, there were some assessments that were required for us to process a SART. Those included a DDP2, CANS or CAS for individuals who are under 18 or above 18. We are required to be completed before we can process a service amendment or SART. There were exceptions, though, for those people who were provisional and who are requesting changes to your services, already receiving services. In some cases, we were required to waive the CAS or CANS assessment because they were already authorized. They were only making changes to a provider, not changes to the service itself. Now, what changes, what are the differences from the SOF and the SOTs? Just minor changes or service options that were removed and added. For the SOT, we removed community transition services, CTS, but instead OPWDD added residential services in facilities certified or operated by OPWDD, which was not in the SOF previously. That service option was not added. OPWDD also removed some unique services, waiver services such as environmental modifications, no longer on the SART, but added self-direction. When someone is seeking self-direction newly for the first time with budget authority, a SART is required. Or when they're seeking to purchase a service directly from a provider using their budget, a SART will be required. A SART is also required if someone is already in a residential facility certified by OPWDD, and in addition to that, requesting another new waiver service or a change in a service that's already authorized by OPWDD. What is the advantage of the SART itself? Information is auto-populated and not manually entered for services that already authorized. So for example, someone is seeking to receive or make changes to a service. On the soft form, what happened was that we just authorized that change. We don't know what they were getting or what the person was receiving in the past. It wasn't always accurate. But on the SART form, once it is processed for the first time, we make sure that all the informations were accurate and complete. And once that information is documented for the first time, any subsequent resubmission of that SART will auto-populate all the services. So it was an enhancement in itself and the process, and we're able to document and follow with services that the person, or track services the person's been authorized previously. If there are error messages, if a care manager is inputting information, there are error messages, the SART will filter those information and give them error messages when it's incorrect. For example, if tab says the person is not getting this service, and the care manager is trying to input the service in the SART form, they may get an error message because that information is inaccurate. So it allows the care managers to really review the form itself and make sure that the information is correct. On the SART itself, on the paper, there was no filtering. They can put any information there, whether accurate or not, but the SART would not allow that in most cases to put any information that is inaccurate. So tracking with the SART was really an enhancement in the system. And once a SART is submitted, we are notified that a SART has been submitted. And once a SART has been assigned, the care manager is also notified that it's been assigned. So that communication is there almost real time. If it was returned, an email goes to the care manager, it's been returned, and to take action. And if it's resubmitted, we are notified real time that the form is resubmitted. So it truly is an enhancement in the process. What is the responsibilities of the CCO and the regional office? Just to make it clear, for the CCO, for the care manager, they must enter the information accurately, ensure it is accurate. When information is auto-populated in the SART, they have to review and make sure that it's correct. For example, auto-populated is getting rescue services from the ABC agency. Care manager knows that information, their service is inaccurate. I no longer get the service, it's inaccurate. They need to contact the DDRO and walk through removing their service from their record. So that is one big enhancement. That way, any information that is no longer correct is removed from the person's record. If there were services that were missing, that also can be corrected. So kind of gives the care manager opportunity to review the person's services in totality and make sure it is correct. On sections 1 through 4 of the SART, the care manager puts their own information, their name, their agency, their email addresses, and phone numbers. Section 5 through 9 is for the care manager is to complete the services the person is getting. And then on section 10, the care manager signs the form and then submits. Once it is submitted to the regional field office, then we have to review the form for correctness against what we have in our system. Review, make sure that the services are accurate, and then we enter authorization decisions on the form. Make sure that the assessments that are required are complete. The CAS and the CANs, the DDP2 are complete. And then in section 7, we'll review all the form, all the information. And then 12, we verify the assessments and then sign the form and either return it or complete the form and authorize services. And we're going to get to that at the end of the presentation. Now, in the past, once the service is authorized, we complete an NOD9 and mail out to the care manager or uploading choices. We also did the same for SART, but what's the difference? For the SART, we only authorize service and that's it, whatever was asked for. But on the SART itself, all the services that a person is receiving currently is reauthorized. So every time an NOD9 is sent, all the services again are listed on the NOD9. So it's kind of you keep track of the person's services. And that's one of the advantages of the SART. So every time an NOD9 is received, even though no changes were made in services, we list all the services in totality on the NOD9. So I'm not going to go into the technicalities of the submitting the form itself. But what I'm going to go to is once the form has been submitted to the DDRO, there are several status. Or in the past, a care manager will have to call the DDRO. What's going on? I submitted a SART or service amendment form. I've not heard from you. What's going on? The CCOs and just have access to choices, just like we do. And they can view different status of the SART live, real time. What are the status they can view? Saved form. If the service amendment, if the SART form is saved, it means it's on the side of the CCO. They're working on it. They've not submitted it to us. So there's no need to contact the regional or field office because it is on your end. You're working on the form. It is saved. If it's submitted, that means it's submitted to us, to the DDRO. Once it's submitted, within a short period of time, usually we try to do it within 30 days, that form must change to assigned. It means it's been reviewed and it's been assigned to our processor to authorize or process the form. And the care manager can see that form as assigned. If it's returned, it means we reviewed it, it was incomplete, there was an error. And on the note section of the SART, we will tell you what is wrong, what is missing, and what needs to be resubmitted. So there's no need for a care manager to call and say, what is the status? Unless they are not sure or we are wrong in what we put on the notes, if it's inaccurate, they can call the processor and then we could go through with them and review it. Most of the reasons why we return SARTs is because the person in tabs is getting 7 services, clearly respite, day hub and all that. But the care manager indicates that they're only getting 2 or 3 out of that, which may be correct. So the DDI is asking what is happening to the other services? Why are they not listed on the SART? Which is the case. And in most cases, guess what? The person no longer received those services, but they're still on the records. So we work with them in resolving that and making sure that the services is accurate. Services that are not active should be removed, and then we resubmit the form. So the SART tool, in a sense, is almost an audit of someone's service. And once it's done for the first time, it cannot be, it means it's perfect. That means next time it comes to us, there'll be no questions because we resolve all errors the very first time. Hopefully, with subsequent SARTs, that will be resolved. If the form is completed, that means we authorize services and we sent out an NOD to the care manager, and they should look in choices and see the authorized NOD 9. If the form is withdrawn, that means for any reason the CCO no longer wants the services or there was an error they need to correct, then they can withdraw the form. The regional field office cannot touch any form that's withdrawn, saved, or returned. It's always on the part of the CCO to make corrections and resubmit those forms to us. So I'm going to stop there right now, not to get into any technical aspect of it, but I believe for parents, for the DD Council members, that an overview or general information of the SART form itself, except for the technical aspect of it, actually submitting the form will be something that you will be interested in, and I'll be willing to take any questions regarding what was being presented so far.
All right. First of all, thank you so much, Henry. That was very informative and helpful. Probably the most detailed explanation we've gotten with the change and about the whole change and why since it came out. So being the chairperson of the DD Council, it was helpful. Being a provider, it was helpful. But I do have a couple of quick questions for you. My first question is, I know with the CAS system, being part of the DD Council, we hear a lot of issues brought up from families that they're often inaccurate. And the fact that that's needed for this, is there something being done on that end is it something you can speak on in terms of expediting corrections to the CAS to not hold up the SART?
Well, I think on the implementation of the SART, the OPWDD also implemented, expedited the process, opened a mailbox for CCOs to request an expedited process in processing the CAS. So they can submit that to that mailbox, and that will expedite the process I don't have that information because I didn't prepare for that, but there is a mailbox where they can request an expedited CAS or CANS review, and that will be processed more faster or more efficiently. But also, if it's an emergency or something that is special, they can let us know, and we can review it on case-by-case basis, and we can waive the CAS or CANS and process the SART. But with the understanding that a CAS or CANS will be requested immediately.
That's helpful. That's really good to know. Thank you. And my second question, so I'm all a fan. I'm a huge fan of going digital, paperless, expediting processes. But one of the things I've noticed now talking with my provider hat on, the providers, the agencies are very clueless in this process, where there's very little communication with the providers while this is going on. And that's always been a concern of mine when we went to the digital form, Because if it's a new person, like if it's someone completely new that we don't serve in any capacity in any other services, we can't see anything going on in choices. I know the care managers can. And you also know with the CCOs and the care managers, the tremendous turnover like everyone else is dealing with. And it could be by the time the SART gets submitted and then gets approved, there's 2 or 3 different care managers dealing with it. And the agency is left in the dark and we don't get the updates. I know you said when things are done, the care manager gets an update. Is there any talk about including the agency that's involved in taking on the service or getting approved for the service on that SART to be included in an alert process or some kind of notification?
I believe that question's come up before, and I believe currently it is the care managers, is the CCOs, and I believe some I'm not sure, Lucy, who else has access to, but right now I'm sure it's only the CCOs. But the good thing about the SART is that a care manager can no longer say, be in the left in the, a new care manager cannot be left in the lurch as to what's going on. Once they get access to choices, they can go in there and look at that SART up and see what the previous care manager submitted on the person. They see that, they see, it's withdrawn, if it was in any notes from OPWDD about corrections, they can see that in choices. They don't need to even ask the previous care manager because and that's the benefit of the SART, the tracking process. It is almost real, a running log of what we've done, what we've asked for. So we usually ask care managers to, first thing, if you don't have access, speak to your supervisor, take a look at what was submitted, see the comments we made. That way you can, follow up on the SART. You don't have to submit a new SART because one already was started. In the past, once it was a paper, it is, it's almost like there's a line in between that you cannot cross. So as for third parties getting access to choices, that's beyond my pay grade. So something maybe.
No, and I get it, but I wonder if there's a way you can bring back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wonder if there's a way you can bring back that suggestion where maybe so my company is Heaven's Hands. So if a care manager submits a SART and Heaven's Hands is listed as a provider, someone from Heaven's Hands gets an alert somewhere along the process that either it's in process, it's been submitted, something, because a lot of times we're left in the dark. And then all of a sudden, months later, an email shows up from a care manager that we may or may not know. Oh, you're approved for services. And because we weren't kept in the loop, whether it's things were kicked back or whatever, it kind of maybe fell off our radar, or maybe people on our end changed as well. And then we're left scrambling to try to help this family and get it up and running as soon as possible. So if you could just bring that suggestion back to include the agencies in the notification process.
Absolutely. It makes sense. It makes sense. And that would be wonderful if that's implemented. But at present, I think it is just, and that's why it's good for the care managers. Really, the emphasis is on them. If you have a good care manager that attends all meetings, that updates the team members of what is going on, which they should be doing, it can alleviate some of this, what you just mentioned. But sometimes they don't. That communication is not there with them and the providers, and it kind of creates a problem. But the beauty of it is that, any new care manager can, anyone in that agency, CC or supervisors can go in and take a look and see what's going on and let you know the status of the form or what was requested. But that's
I also kind of want to chime in. I do think that, that's a very, very good point, and we can certainly bring back that feedback. But to Henry's point, because, the care manager is the one coordinating everything. The provider may know what's going on, but ultimately, that information still has to come back to you, from the care manager. So, if there are challenges, you can always, reach out to us, the DDRO, but really it's up to the care manager to be engaged and for the provider to engage the care manager. There's a chain of command. I know it doesn't always work properly, but there are things that can be done to get the feedback that you need, from that, from the CCOs, we'll bring it back.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Rochelle has a question for you, Henry.
Well, of course I do. First of all, I want to thank you, Nina, for arranging Henry to come. From a family perspective, this is the first comprehensive explanation that we have received about this change to the SART and all the differences in how authorization requests are now being processed. And I think it's very helpful. I'm actually going to encourage all the family advocate groups to actually look at our recording so that they can learn about this system. But I still have a few questions despite your very comprehensive explanation. One is, in terms of the CAS, I know there is a process to request an expedited CAS in the event of a need for a SART. I will tell you that it's not working all that well from the feedback we're getting. There's still significant delay. And in terms of the question that Brian had, in terms of if the individual, after seeing the summary, which they have to get within 30 days and sometimes get on the 30th day, so that's already a month that has elapsed, may have significant concerns about the accuracy of the CAS. The system for resolving that can often take months, and I can tell you that from personal experience and from working with many advocates. So the requirement for having the CAS will inevitably cause delay in the authorization process. And by having a CAS, it means a current CAS, which I believe the definition is within the last 2 years. So my son had one 3 years ago. So I actually asked my care manager, maybe we should apply to have another one done in case we need to request the change in service. And she was told that, you know, that wouldn't fall into the requirement for an expedited. You actually have to have a need identified for a change in service. So those people who have an unanticipated need in service will have an even longer delay because their CAS is considered outdated. So that's, you know, just a whole area of concern that I wanted to share with you in terms of what's happening in real life for people who are going through this process. Another thing that interested me very much in what you said, advocates are self-advocates and family advocates are very interested in this whole issue of unmet need. And unmet need is defined as a service that may be required, but is not being received. You would agree that's a good definition, yes?
Mhm.
So the way, if I understand you correctly, the way you explained it is, let's say a person had 7 services approved, but is only receiving 3, then the other 4 will simply be removed.
No, correction. I'm sorry. Let me correct that if that I just
Okay,
so big correction.
be correct. Okay.
If they were getting, say, 7 services, and for any reason the other ones were discontinued, were no longer needed, the agency moved on, out of business, wasn't mentioned, we do not remove them. We have to have authorization from the family based on the care manager's communication.
Okay.
Family says, I don't need the services anymore. You shouldn't be on there. Please remove. That is the only time we'll close it out, because it is not, you know, it's reflecting the person's total services, which we take into consideration to approve new services. So if that is hindering them getting more services and they don't need it, they don't want it, take it out so we can then authorize even more services. But if they need the services, we don't touch it. We leave it there because it's their service. It's authorized. So I just want to make that clear. We only remove them if the agency is no longer even in the operation, the services wasn't even necessary, it wasn't needed, it wasn't used, and I don't want it anymore. That is the only time so that's the correction.
That's an excellent clarification. Thank you very much from a family perspective. But one more point on this, which is, if you find in this process, and I know you will, that there are services that were authorized and are not being received because of a lack of staffing or other reasons from the provider, you know, the designated provider agency, that is in fact an unmet need. And so I would encourage OPWDD to start tracking those. I think we need data on this issue, because we, family members and self-advocates, we know this is a real problem where people need a service or authorize a service and are sitting home because they cannot find the service, despite the best efforts of their care manager. They simply cannot find it. So, and that could be even more acute in a rural area, which we are not in, but even here in urban Brooklyn, it's a real problem. So, because of the workforce shortage. So I would really encourage OPW, you now have the means to measure this.
Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
it should be measured. So that was one thing.
I guess that's one unintended benefit of the SART.
It is an unintended benefit. And, you know, I really think having all this information,
right.
the electronic database is great. It will
Yes.
improve things ultimately, but there is, you know, we need to tweak it collaboratively.
Absolutely.
And
I think it is. I was just gonna also say that it's being looked at. That's something that we're collecting, and that's something that we're hoping that will help us, even in putting out, requests for services, for providers. So definitely that's something that's being looked at. We just also need to be getting that information and that feedback that the reason they're not receiving the services is because there are no providers.
Mhm.
So that's information that we need to get back. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Lucy. And because when we have asked this of OPW and at family stakeholder meetings, we're told, no, they don't have the capacity to analyze unmet need at this time. But I think that capacity is now going to be there.
Absolutely.
And I'm happy to hear that it's something that's being looked at, because for families, there's nothing more important and self-advocates than having a need and it's not being met. I just had one little, I guess not so little, it's a more global question, last question, which is, how do you determine not to authorize a service based on all of this?
Well, so first of all, there are guidelines. And in most cases, it's not even because we don't want to authorize the services. It's because the services that are authorized already either were not appropriately used or being used in a way. Say, for example, so it's not always saying we don't want to authorize new service. If you're asking for, let's take respite, for example. Respite is respite, right? It can be used in many ways, in different forms. So, and it's also a part of a care manager, informing the family, providing adequate information to the family. You have respite. You can use it anytime you want for different things. If you're going away, that respite that you were using at home, you can, if you need respite where you're going or camp or whatever, it can be used in any way. So it's a matter of care managers, families reviewing services already authorized and making sure they are used appropriately so that they can use it. You don't necessarily need new services every time. And that's the point I'm trying to make, because we already authorize services that can be used for that. And the second reason also sometimes is when someone, our policy has been always to community inclusion, put everyone in the community, right? So if I'm able to go in the community, I have every ability to be in the community. We're going to look into that when you're requesting for services that will put you in a site-based environment. So it's always those issues that we look into. We review the cases in totality, look at the person's records, look at the life plan, and sometimes the life plan is not even current. It doesn't reflect the person. So we look at all that in totality in making a decision. In most cases, changes were made, things were updated and then resubmitted, and then we approve. So it is a holistic review of someone's case records. It's not just a matter of saying, no, you can't get this, you can't get this. No, it's always a total review. And it's usually a QRT process where it's not one person, it's a committee who sits together and reviews that process. And again, you can always request a conference when we deny a service, or ultimately, or a fair hearing, but a conference usually works and we can review the information and move on. But we don't deny cases because we just want to. It's just after a review of the person's records and we make decisions.
I'm kind of glad you mentioned the issue of site-based versus program without walls for day.
Oh boy, that opened up a can of
Now I'm glad you mentioned, because that's the main that we're hearing, or the main discussions that are going on.
Correct.
It seems to be that the default position is that everybody should be in program without walls, and then you have to make a case for someone being in site-based.
Correct.
And many people feel like, I understand you're reviewing the situation, but we are hearing situations of individuals who clearly should not be in a without walls program. They, for a variety of reasons, and yet that becomes the default for everybody. So I guess it's better that this is clear, that this is the approach, and so we know best how to advocate for the need, and we also, of course, value community inclusion. I think
Correct.
we share that goal.
Correct. And I'm going to tell you, though, we have many instances where initially we said no because the life plan or records were inaccurate. And then we spoke to the care manager, we reviewed it again, we asked for additional information, and we said, wow. And it was just an easy authorization. So sometimes it's just information we have. We don't know the person, so sometimes, but we know them through the life plan, what we read, documentation submitted, supporting documents that were submitted. So we look at all that information, and sometimes we may miss something or something is not there, and that we ask for clarification, and then we process the information.
I'm sure it's true there are missing documents from the life plan. I'm absolutely certain that's true.
I just want to say something before, because we're running out of time, before we take more questions. I just want to, for families, members here or providers, they're, as you expect from any new process, the SART was a new process to us, to the regional field office, and to the CCOs. We do have things that we're still working on. We're going training. There are issues that we're still working on. Most especially though on the CCO, the care managers being trained properly to complete the form. So it is taking a while, but I think we're getting over most of those issues, ironing them out. The care managers are becoming more adept at completing the forms. So that was the initial delays that we did experience. But also especially, again, like I said, it is no longer a mystery. You can go anytime to choices and look at what we did. So you don't take the care manager's word for it. Oh, the DDRO is slipping on it. You can look at this, go to choices. They can go to choices and see a report of what was done, when it was returned, when it was processed, or when we asked for additional information. Is all a real-time information in the system. I think somebody raised their hand. Maybe one more question.
Carlene has a question for you.
Yes, please.
Yes, Brian, thank you very much. I came in right at the beginning of this, but I thank you again for this presentation. It clarifies a lot. One question or comment really, so I'll try to move quickly through this. I find that one of the problems with the last issue Rochelle isolated about without walls and more structured day have program is the lack of an understanding of the guidelines as to what the two, how different or how alike the two are. So when you look and you're trying to figure out what should they be doing in without walls, what should they be doing in structured day have, you're not exactly sure. You always know that community inclusion is a baseline and a theory that really should run through any of these to the maximum extent possible, of course. And it means different things, but we don't have, to my mind, unless I'm missing it, we don't have adequate guidance. I know for a long time, OPW has been promising some regulatory guidance on this. It's in their regulatory agenda and they haven't acted on it yet. So all I can say is if anyone's listening there that can do something about this, some concrete guidance as to differences would certainly aid individuals and supports to elect and to request certain tweaks in what is being offered, or just to really know what they're supposed to be offered in either one of these programs. And that's really just more of a comment than a question. So thank you very much. Take care.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that comment. That's true. And something we've heard it several times, and then we always bring it back to our administrators. So it's something I know it's ongoing. But I think the list of what care managers can do is being comprehensive enough in explaining, making a case for an individual, making sure the life plan is up to date, And sometimes it's a balance, what the person can do or what cannot do, and the family's view of the person. But if there's any need for justifying someone being a site base as opposed to, that can be documented in a supporting documentation. It's a separate documentation that can tell us, what? Yes, they may look like they can, but here's the reason why. And I think he can benefit because this program has something that will really benefit them. Not just saying, oh, he can't go out in the community. That's not enough, So care managers should be, adept at presenting and making a case for an individual. And when we read it, we don't ignore that. We process based on individual basis, based on what is presented to us.
All right, I don't see any other questions, but Henry, again, thank you so much. That was so helpful and informative.
Thank
And
you.
it will be, all of our meetings are recorded. As I said at the beginning, they are posted on our website. So I'm definitely going to be directing families there when they have questions about the SART. So they don't call you as much. They can go watch your presentation and get their questions answered.
Absolutely. Or you can collect the questions and email it to me, and I'll do my best to answer them.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate the opportunity.
All right. So I don't believe, so as I mentioned earlier, unfortunately, we don't have a representative from IAC. So they'll be joining us again when we restart in the fall. I don't see our representative from DOH. So I will pass it off to Rochelle. She wanted to give an update on the family stakeholder meeting.
Hi, everybody. I hope you're not too tired of listening to me today. But I wanted to give a report from the May 28th bi-monthly meeting of family stakeholder groups with OPWDD leadership. And this was our final meeting with Commissioner Neifeld, and we all wished her well. And but she did give her final report actually on the budget update. And one of the things she emphasized was the rate rebasing that is going into effect. And she promoted this $79 million investment that she believes would result in a major improvement in the rates for providers. There were some questions about this. One is this is still not an acuity-based model, so it's still just based on provider costs and expenses. But one of the issues she mentioned in passing that she was surprised that many providers' costs went down since the last rebasing. The last rebasing was 5 years ago. And so the question arose, well, did that happen because providers can't accept as many people because of the workforce shortage? And so if they don't have as many workers and they don't have as many participants, then yes, their expenses will go down. But that's actually, I called it a double whammy, actually, in hitting those providers who are in the worst situation by reducing their rates further. And the OPW staff conferred among themselves, and then ultimately the answer was, well, much of that money would be made up in staff overtime anyway, which might be true a little bit in residential, is certainly not true in day program or SEMP or any other programs. So this is still an outstanding issue from family advocates who are concerned about adequate reimbursement for providers. The second big discussion came up about, is there a strategic plan for housing? And that question actually more got answered at the most recent Developmental Disabilities Advisory Council, and I would hope people would look at that because OPW is substantially revising their protocol for how to admit people into certified residential opportunities. And it's definitely worth taking a look at for those who are interested in this area. But the other point that came up here is if OPW is starting to use better data for this, then family stakeholders would like to look at that data too. We have skin in this game and we would like to know this information. A key question that came up was around families are extremely concerned about the issue of abuse and neglect. And so we wanted information about what trends were being identified in terms of abuse and neglect, and to what's the analysis of it from OPW's QI department. And we were told that there's a 30% substantiation rate of allegations, but I guess what was more striking was in 2023, there were 6,900 incidents of abuse, substantiated abuse and neglect in our system. And we have to note that this is not including people who live in non-certified housing or in self-direction. This is only people receiving certified services. And so those people also are at risk for abuse and neglect if they're living in non-certified settings, and that issue needs to be addressed as well. But 6,900 seemed to be a lot, with 130,000 total people, and the majority were neglect. There was according to the Division of Quality Improvement, there were 3% increase in deficiencies for traditional services and 8% in intermediate care facilities. And they're going to share these trends with providers and have best practice sessions. They couldn't say whether it was specifically tied to workforce shortage, but it's certainly, that's the concern that family members raise, that if you have inadequate staffing or people who are doing excessive overtime, that perhaps it would set the basis for more incidents of abuse and neglect. And the response to that was that that is the reasoning behind the new ADM for changing the levels of supervision, was to try and reduce the incidence of neglect. I guess we'll have to see if that had any impact or not, or if it was just a changing definitions and not really changing outcomes. And I guess those are the main items that have not been addressed by OPW already. So I'll see if anybody has any questions about anything I said.
Rochelle, I could just add on from one of the recent IAC meetings when you were talking about the budget, and the drop in expenses, whatever they want to call it. I mean, it's clearly related to not having the staff and costs not being the same. But there was something shared, I think it was the IAC fiscal committee, that based on when they were comparing the rates and talking to different agencies, the average direct care hours dropped about 200 hours from what they were seeing, from where they were reported on prior reportings on CFRs and things like that. So if you're taking away 200 direct care hours from most of the agencies, that's where you're going to see a difference. And when rates drop, and then agencies, let's say this turns around and we try to get back to our normal staffing levels, but the rates aren't there to support where we were or where we should be for our certified capacities, that's where we run into the issue. And the other thing that we're being told is they will they want us to evaluate the rates. We were given the draft rates for the first time. We never get rates in advance. We never get draft rates typically, but they want us to evaluate them for calculation errors. However, they will not look at anything related to formulas or how they got there. The only thing that they're willing to listen to is if we found an error based on a calculation, not the types of calculations or how it was put together. And that's been a very clear message that all the agencies have received, which is unfortunate. And the other thing that they shared was, so there's a rate rebasing work group with a number of people from different agencies. And those same people, I believe, will be part of the group for rate reform. So at least the people at the table, when they start talking about rate reform, will know of the conversations that have been leading up to and issues that have come up throughout the whole process, and it won't be a whole different group of people starting over. I don't see any hands up though or any other questions. All right, thank you, Rochelle. All right, I'll pass it on to Deborah for the Brooklyn Family Support Service Advisory Council updates, and she's also going to be doing the MTA updates for Chris.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. On Wednesday, June 20th, I'm sorry, June 12th. And we also did have our meeting on June 18th, the general, but there was the statewide meeting. This was the last meeting we had with Commissioner Neifeld. We all wished her luck and said goodbye. Now, we will miss her, and we know that there'll be another person who will be overseeing until they pick another commissioner. But the important thing I want everybody to know is that we've been fighting very hard about with the ADM on reimbursement. Now, as you know, there was a lot of issues with the non-allowable list. And yes, we were very successful because I do chair the subcommittee for reimbursement. We now have, I will tell you the update. We now have the bed. I'm not going to read them all because they now are on the OPWDD website as well as the Brooklyn Family Support Service Advisory Council's website. So, example, bed protector that was admitted is now added to the allowable list. Prescription eyeglasses if criteria are met or if the child has broken them. Mattress, well, as you know, there are issues with many of our children. I won't go into full detail. Food as an ongoing routine expense. Many of our children are on specialized puree diets or others that can be very expensive. They have also like outdoor recreation equipment has been updated to sensory needs. Noise calculation headphones were put on the allowable. Ski lessons, equipment rentals were added to the allowable list. We also have some clothing due to atypical needs as related to the IDD detail guidance provided around what needs specific situation would allow for clothing, as well as the incontinence related supplies. As you know, the Medicaid diapers are not a good quality, and many times the families have to buy extra. So that this will be, that they will work with it so that it can be allowed is a big thing. The mattress for cursing, also a reference with bed bugs. I made sure to send them the list that's from the New York City Department of Mental Health, Department of Health and Mental Hygiene. They have the requirement. So there's been a lot of updates, like museum memberships. We're trying very hard. We will still be working on more. Now, advisory council members, we will be allowing the local members from the advisory council to participate with us when I hold our meetings. I'm not doing anything until after July 4th. And we're also going to work with the families from the statewide. Now, I also want to tell you there's the Families Part RFP allocations by district. Now I will give you Brooklyn, 11.7, and our allocation is 409,821. But and everyone says, well, what was the priorities for Brooklyn? Well, I will say this. We did a surveys that were sent across all of the state. In Region 4, which is New York City, broken down to all the 5 boroughs. I'm going by Brooklyn's only. And there was more than 100 surveys. It was housing. Evictions. So you know what? We decided that the number 1 priority is going to be housing advocacy, but added to this. 1, the agency goes with the families to meet with the landlord or the landlord's representative, like a manager, or if they're living in NYCHA, the housing manager for their development they live in. also to go to the housing courts, help the families, guide them through also when they need, because you see, the advocate is really technically for the child, because living at home. The parent, if we may need to go to the Brooklyn Legal so we can get a lawyer that will assist and work with the housing advocate. The other one is we have so many requests for housing modifications, and the wait list is so big. So we had that as number 2. Number 3 is crisis intervention. We have to get our priorities in by June 30th, which was sent in. I also just want to give you the full amount for the allocations for New York City, Region 4. $1,308,025, which, as you know, Region 4 gets the most because New York City is the largest and the most populous. We also were given about, they talked to us about contract termination, amendment overview. We overview the FAQ. So all I can tell you is that we are working very hard to make sure that family support services are maintained and kept. We don't want to lose these services because, as I said, they're very important in the guidance for family support services to keep your child home. Now, with that, and we did have an excellent meeting on the 18th, and I appreciate OPWDD was there. I thank Robin Mooney and Angela Blades who worked together. As you said, we are going to work very hard to add more not take and justify the stuff that should not be on the non-allowable to the allowable. So we're working very, very hard. Now, the Advisory Council, with collaboration for the Brooklyn Public Library Inclusive Services, having another Developmental Disability Resource Fair, because next month is celebrating Disability Pride Month. So our resource fair is on July 12th, 2024 from 11 to 1 at the Central Library, 10 Grand Army Plaza, Brooklyn, New York. And we all hope to see you there. We already have, if you need to talk to me about tables, please call me either at 718-264-5084 or you email me at the bfssac@yahoo.com. If you need to go on our website, it's www.bfssac.org. So if you have questions, concerns, you can contact me there. Now, as you know, Christopher is not here. Why? Because today is the committee meetings for the MTA about congestion pricing. They're trying to figure out which program should they keep on. We are very upset that Governor Hochul put a stop to this because this is going to affect the disability community very badly. We were looking forward to getting updated accessorized buses or, the minibus that's in better shape. We don't have to worry about carbon monoxide because they're using a very old bus. We need more. We're supposed to get updated buses that run a combo gas and electricity. They have to figure out which of the stations they can now make truly advocate. I don't know who this is. Sorry. I call them back. So it is it's very upsetting because this is really going to affect accessibility. And everybody said, oh, I'll be charged $15. No. You see, the press end, not everybody listened. For people with disabilities, there's a lot of exemptions and they reduced the fare. They even reduced, and I will give you the latest text I got from Christopher, who reported this to me, that they're reducing the fare for the Easy Pass. And they're still accepting people with disabilities, seniors to sign up to get the Easy Pass, and so that when congestion price comes in, you will not be paying the full fare. And not everybody was paying $15. And we worked very hard to get all the agencies who transport individuals with disabilities to Manhattan, to the doctors, so they can be able to get in there without being charged regularly. And I will tell you, New York City DOT as well as the MTA worked together as a team. Unfortunately, the press didn't report everything correctly. And this is seriously affecting, because also a lot of our train stations, besides trying to make them accessible, there's a lot of structural defects because our system is more than 100 years old. So it is extremely important that we get this all fixed. Now, Christopher will be attending on Wednesday the MTA board meeting at 2 Broadway. Whatever new information, he will be sending it to us, and we will be putting it on the website and sharing it with Brian for Brian to also put on the website. So these are certain issues that, we're trying to deal with making sure that we can have a truly accessible train system. We have updated buses, updated train cars for Accessoride. Also, these were going for repairs to fix the roadways on the bridges, for the MTA bridges, where you go sometimes and you're being bumped around. They're trying to, we have to figure out what kind of money will be there to fix it. So these are the issues that are coming up. The advisory council will only be doing our resource fair in July. We are not having a meeting in July. We will just check for the Jewish holidays and any other holidays in September. So if you have any questions or concerns, feel free to ask me, and let me know, Brian, when I should do the report for ADAPT. No questions?
All right, thank you. Any questions for Debbie?
Mhm.
And I agree, Debbie, a lot of the stuff people are just hearing from the media about the congestion pricing, and there's a lot of misinformation and confusion.
And thank you so much. There is one issue that, we understood Staten Island's issue about not to be double charged. But the one thing we did make a complaint to a lot of the elected officials, they should have had meetings with the MTA as well as the New York City DOT to work things out instead of getting all these lawsuits. I think Rochelle's got something to ask me.
Well, it's more, I just want to congratulate the statewide Family Support Advisory Committee for all the hard work they did on trying to get more items approved for family
Thank you.
reimbursement. This was a tremendous gain for families and who are keeping their loved ones at home. And
Yes.
And people were so discouraged initially. And I also want to thank OPWDD for finally hearing our pleas and making some very positive changes. So I think it was a win for everybody.
Yes, it was, and you're right. And we did thank, I made sure to thank OPWDD. There was some I know we all get upset, we can't get everything we want, but I will tell you, when I saw about the ADM list, I was ecstatic. And one thing I did leave out, we have requested assistance from the DDAC's medical subcommittee for a very important reason. We need, when you ask a doctor to write out a justification, it has to be geared, of course, to the person's developmental disability. But not every parent takes their child into a DD clinics. But still, even so, they would like to have the correct guidelines geared to when they write up the justification for medical reasons, whether it's because the child has issues with, could have a G-tube or something else, which makes it very hard. They have to worry about allergies for cross-contamination. There's so many things, but we need to make sure that OPWD also has the medical justification list, because that makes it easier for the medical profession to then write it up. And you're right. I was very pleased when I saw the changes, because it meant that we were working together. I did ask families to email directly to OPWDD, because it's not just what I'm saying. Everyone has a voice. And on both websites, there is a way to connect to the OPWDD website or to make comments or issues or bring things up. That was a big help. So with everybody, I want to thank everybody, and thank you again, Rochelle. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Okay, Brian, I'm done.
All right, thank you, Debbie. All right, I think we're up to general announcements. So Debbie, if you want to go, oh, we do have a question. Carrie? Or would you hands up for the announcement? All right. So Debbie, if you want to just do the
Sure.
HRC announcement, and
Yeah,
then
adapt.
we'll move on to other hands and announcements.
Okay, this will be super quick. She did put this on the chat, and this is from Sandy Naper from Adapt. I'm only announcing this for her. On Thursday, July 11th, from 10 a.m. to 11:30, Adapt Community Network is having Tina Beauparlant from Parent to Parent of New York State to discuss what you need to know about assistive technology in the IEP. Your registration is required, and Spanish and Mandarin interpretation be provided. And you would go to the Family Connect at adaptcommunitynetwork.org. On Thursday, July 18th, from 10 to 11:30 a.m., Adapt Community Network is having Dr. Mary McDonald, a highly regarded professor in special education program at Hofstra University, discussing enhancing executive functioning skills in students with disabilities, strategies and interventions for success. And this webinar you'll learn about the cognitive process connected to executive functioning and the importance of addressing them to support success. So this webinar is free, and is again, Spanish and Mandarin translation will be provided. Registration is required. You can register at, again, Family Connect at adaptcommunitynetwork.org. Thank you very much, Brian.
Thank you. And I believe for anyone that's on the mailing list, I think those were included in one of our recent newsletters, and it'll also probably be again in our newsletter coming out tomorrow. So you can click right on the links in those newsletters. All right, next up we have Carrie.
Hi, all. First of all, I want to say just how great it was to see all of you in person that I saw in person. It was just like, it was so awesome. And I know I said awesome before, but after 5 years, it was just great. So that being said, I have some more opportunities for us to get together in person coming up. The first one is a new workshop for us. It's on July 27th. I posted it earlier in the chat, and it's on the educational rights of immigrants, including special education rights. And there's just so much misinformation out there about this, and we want to help clarify it. We want to help families get their kids into schools, and once they're there, get the services that they need. I met a family on Saturday who the two teenage students who were blind, right, were put two grade levels behind their age group, which is, first of all, wrong because they were delayed. They also didn't speak English, and they had never been evaluated for special education services, even though they were blind. So clearly kids are falling through the cracks. I met another family whose child is 7 years old and doesn't speak, and she was admitted to a regular second grade, even though she neither speaks and the family's home language is Spanish. So there's just so much going on here. Please help get the word out about this wherever you can. And it will be in English. We will provide Spanish interpretation. If someone needs another language, they can reach out to me, and we will provide interpretation in other languages as well. So that's on July 27th. And then but before that, Deborah already mentioned the Pride Month, Disability Pride Month, Developmental Disability Fair, and that's another one that we're really looking forward to at the Central Library. And then we have our annual busing workshop in August to help families who are navigating busing issues. So that's what I've got coming up. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. Any other announcements?
I do. Hi, everyone. This is Maria Willis. I'm on the phone because I'm locked out of my account. But however, I have several things. First of all, Lucina was not able to make it because she's a speaker at a press conference in the Bronx, but she sends her regards. Secondly, we did have the legislative committee meeting on June 12th. However, in attendance was only Lucina, Joyce, and myself because there was a conflict with another meeting that was happening. So after we saw no one came in, they jumped off and went to the other meeting. So also, the legislative committee will be meeting after the break, second Wednesday of every month at 11 a.m. And I'm sure Brian will send out the notice. So look for that. Also, during the summer, please connect with your representative or their staff that are within your district so you could get familiar with them and they'll get familiar with you and know the needs of the population, the needs of the house, the need of families for the next budget year. So let's just negotiate and get familiar with them during the summer while they're in their district. In terms of announcement, CP Unlimited is having summer wheelchair clinics, and the next one is scheduled for August 10th in Brooklyn at 921 East New York Avenue. You can RSVP through email to gerard@cpofnys.org. And those are all the announcements. I will send the flyer to Brian, but I believe he has it already. Thank you so much. Oh, by the way, my name is Maria Willis, co-chair of the Legislative Committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. And I will
You're
definitely
welcome,
share
Brian.
out that wheelchair clinic flyer. I know it was very popular the first time you guys did it in Brooklyn. I know you've been going around all the boroughs.
Yes, we have. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Nigel, I know I see you still here. Are you free and able to make your announcement?
Yes, thank you, Brian. I was able to jump back on. Yes, hello everyone. My name is Nigel Thompson. Excuse me, I'm in my car right now. I am the co-founder and executive director of Kindred Bakery BK. We are a nonprofit baking, pastry, and culinary arts program for teenagers and young adults. I'm also the father of a 19-year-old autistic son. So our program is very inclusive. We operate out of a commercial kitchen space in Flatbush, and we offer programming on Saturdays starting back in September, but starting next month, we have a bread boot camp that will be Monday to Thursday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Our goal is to try to create, an inclusive space and to also give these young people skills that they can utilize both at home and hopefully out in the, in the real world. So that's basically all I have for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Nigel. And I posted your flyer in the chat. It's also up on our website. And I've shared it recently in one of our weekly updates to the mailing list. But I will say, I just got a chance to meet Nigel at our event at the Brooklyn Family Support Fair. And if it shows anything about what he cares about and means to this field, would not take no for an answer when I said we were at capacity. He showed up with his information, with a table, and just said, find me a corner, and had everything good to go. So it just shows you all you need to know about him and what he's doing to support this population. So I'm glad that we were able to connect, and we will keep that relationship going forward to help you have success with your company.
No, and thank you, Brian. For all we need is a space. We don't need much. We just need a space, and we're gonna share the message because I'm grateful for you guys doing this because we need to get messaging out that there are parents who are willing to do the work, that to try and fill in some of the voids out there. So like I said, I'm a retired police officer. My co-founder, co-parent Kiana, she's a public school teacher, 25 years of teaching. So we know what young people like our son needs, and we're just trying to fill that void. But thanks again, Brian.
Thank you. Rochelle, you have a question or just a reaction? All right. Any other announcements, updates from any agencies? Anyone else in attendance?
Hi, I'm Angelica James. How are you guys? Good morning. I'm from
morning.
Unique Care Community Services. We do have availability in our day hab community habilitation respite overnight respite force that runs Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And our Saturday program, we do have openings. We also have openings in all our boroughs currently right now for all services. I will put my information in the chat that you can reach out to me if anyone have any questions or concern or any updates.
Excellent. Thank you. And yes, to everyone, please also, even if you're making an announcement, put it in the chat because I do upload the chat with the video on our website. So a lot of times it is helpful to have names and contact information for people to reference back to and reach out to. Any other announcements?
Brian, this is Debbie.
I don't see.
We need
Okay.
to thank you because you did a great job on the Brooklyn Family Support Fair. It ran beautifully. The floors were packed with families, parents, and professionals, and you did a great job. And you should be commended, and everyone should give you a round of applause because you did a great job.
Definitely. Great job. Great job. It was
I appreciate
awesome.
that, but it was a team effort. Kudos to everyone that
We understand
helps
that.
out on the council.
Yes, and we
Well,
know
thank you,
that
Debbie.
you deserve the thanks. And one other thing to let you know, as you know, Brooklyn College loves us. As you know, the minute Chris shows up, the gates go up. So he's
Yeah.
very glad to help too. As he said,
Well, that was funny that day. I
So
got
we-
there so early. The gates were closed. I'm waiting out
Yeah.
front all nice and patient. Chris walks up. The guy comes running out and opens the gates. Very
Yeah.
different treatment when Chris got there. Next time I'm
Yes,
just showing up with
that's
him.
true. It's a great idea. You could next time you just come and grab him, and Ann and I will just follow up later. And the next thing
Yeah.
you know, the gates are up. I'm telling you, it happens all the time. But you did a great job. Now, really, because we were able to all work together as a team. So I wanted you
Yep.
to acknowledge that. And yes, I did put in the chat.
Thank
Thank
you. I
you again.
appreciate that.
You're
All right. So if there's no other announcements, again, thank you everyone for helping us get the Brooklyn Council back on the map this year. So glad we were able to do an in-person event. I know it was way too long. Hopefully we can do some more next year. And I just want to wish everyone a good summer. Be safe, stay cool. Hopefully this was the worst of it, right, with this heat wave. But you can always reach out to me. You can go visit on our website, and any important updates will certainly get out to the mailing list, get on the website, and keep everyone as informed as possible. And the whole team for the Brooklyn Council will continue to meet over the summer to just see how we can do things better next year to keep everyone involved. So thank you again, everyone, and have a great summer.
Wonderful. Enjoy
Everybody,
your
happy
summer.
summer.
Thank you very
Bye.
much. Bye, everybody. Have a great summer.
Thank you. Have a good summer.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
All right. I'm so happy, Rochelle. Well, let me stop. Hold on.